Hey there, folks and friends. Connecting Dots here, February 17, 2014. I want to thank a subscriber of mine for having sent me this great link here on a story that's breaking out across the U.S. Bizarre cluster of severe birth defects haunts health experts. I may have found the cause, I'm not 100% sure. I will share with you what I found, and I'll also share with you here a video that was censored. I've talked many times here how I'm censored by YouTube. Many of you have complained how you're not getting your upload notifications. I make a video, YouTube's supposed to send you a notification. Many of you complain you don't get it, or you get it a couple of days late, 3-4 days late. Other folks have complained how they just get magically unsubscribed. Well, lo and behold, one of the things they've done is they've actually blocked me from sharing information here back in 2012 on what I found on, well, you'll see. I think it all ties into this story. Now, if you haven't heard about this story, it all has to do with this breakout here in 3 counties, Yakima, Franklin, and Benton counties. There's 23 cases of this anencephaly. Now, I've found another story that apparently they're up to 27 now. Regardless, this anencephaly is a uniformly fatal birth defect that leaves babies born without part of their brain or skull. Now remember that's kind of important here, because I'm going to share with you, like I said, some of the information that was censored by Google that I couldn't share with you back in April 2012 when I was doing these daily Fukushima videos. So this all came about, this whole, there's a problem here. It all came about with Sarah Benton, or Baton, I should say, 58-year-old nurse, a 30-year nursing veteran, you know, and she says in her entire career she's only seen 1 or 2 of these devastating cases, and now she's working in an area here where she's doing 30 deliveries a month, and there's 2 cases in a 6-month period. She talks to another doctor, and the doctor says, yeah, I've found one also in the third. And anyways, oh my God. And turns out they looked all over the place at these different hospitals in the area, and they've got a cluster of them, folks. And this story hits close to home. I'm right here in Victoria. This is basically around the corner from me. Now, have we had a cluster of any types of deaths? Because I know many of you have been following me since the Fukushima stuff. I've talked about here in British Columbia, Canada, we had definitely a spike, an elevation in the infant death rate soon after Fukushima. It rose by 62% soon after Fukushima, and oddly, the health authorities here had been started a new program just 6 months earlier to help newborn new parents how to cope with making sure their children don't die of SIDS. So not only did they have a program to even lower the amount of infant mortality death rate, but it turned around, it spiked by 62%. Do these have anything to do with Fukushima? I don't think so. There's a possibility here. However, you know, once you go in here a little closer, and I've marked everything off so everyone will be able to see what these are all about. So we have, how does this go again? Benton County, Franklin County, and Yakima County. So it's ABC. The D is Hanford, and many of you have heard all this, the nuclear waste here at Hanford. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but major waste here. The containment vessels that are buried underneath the ground, they're leaking into the Columbia River. Could it affect everyone? How do you explain this one? And this is where D comes into. This is the old Yakima Training Center. I'm not sure if it's still running. It was a military training center where, guess what they did? They shot depleted uranium shells. And I found this story here back in was October 30th, 2013. I'm not going to read the entire story, but basically they talk about how the U.S. is using these depleted uranium bullets at these different locations, and it says that the Army has enough depleted uranium at these sites that under the Atomic Energy Act and NRC regulations, it is required to have a possession license. The Army submitted a license application in November 2008. The initial license covers only the depleted uranium at the Hawaiian sites. In the future, the Army plans to amend the license to address depleted uranium at other sites, and guess where one of these sites is. You got it, Yakima Training Center. And oddly enough, the lady here, the hospital that she's worked is right on the Yakima River. Is it all connected? I don't know. It seems to me that possibly these birth defects that were in these towns possibly have something to do with the water that they were drinking. However, the article says they tested the water, they tested the not the water. I mean, they were trying to find common links in all these women here in these different towns. So they tested their medication, their water. They weren't drinking the same water, weren't using the same medication. So I don't know. Could it be depleted uranium? Possibility here, and that's what I want to share with you. Back in 2012, April 15, you can see here, I uploaded this video. Google, YouTube won't let Dr. Christopher Busby share with the whole world. I was hoping I could upload it and I could share it. No, I'm the only one that can see it. It's rather unfortunate. You know, when Dr. Christopher Busby, I have to get into this. I feel like I'm partially responsible for him losing his job at the University of Ireland because he made me an offer. You know, in 2011 when I did the Cross Canada Radiation Tour, he'd got a hold of me indirectly to another person, another subscriber of mine, asking if I would like to send my radiation samples to the University of Ireland. And 2 months later, they fired him. And there's only one other person that knew about this conversation that the three of us had. And that person's Arnie Gunderson. Is Arnie Gunderson responsible? I don't know, but it sounds very suspicious because Arnie contacted me through another person asking me if I would like to send him my rain samples, and I said no, I'm sending them to Dr. Christopher Busby in Ireland. And like I said, a month later I found out he lost his job. Rather unfortunate. Anyways, the video here I would like to share with you is the Fallujah video. I can't play the whole thing, it's a long video, but I'm going to play just a snippet of it here so you get to hear about the birth defects.
We have seen many other types of deformities. He's not alone. Some are more severe than others. We have some babies born without skulls, without...
Yeah, not good. So is it anything to do with depleted uranium? I'm not sure, but in Fallujah, that's definitely the problem. If you watch the entire story, this is what it is. The U.S. Army was using depleted uranium shells there, and this is what they have, an ongoing crisis of children born with birth defects. Now, if you didn't see yesterday's video here, I was talking about a narrow line of radioactive pollutants. They're making their way all across the ocean here. This was a new study here from the Journal of Ocean University of China. It's, you know, no surprise here. We've been talking about this beelining right for the West Coast. I also talked about Jacques Cousteau's son, who warns Californians about the Fukushima plume. It could be dangerous. Keeping an eye on reports. Heck, it is dangerous. He talks about not eating the bluefin tuna because of the pollution. I've talked about this also. It's the lead, the mercury, folks. I talked about in Canada here. You're not supposed to eat more than 1 can per year. All the food banks here are giving 1 can per month to all the poor people. It's rather unfortunate, but they're going to have some severe problems here. Okay, and another thing I showed here was this map that was put out by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and it talks about in Fukushima in 2012 exactly where the radiation was sitting according to them. Well, you know, if you go in a little closer here, here's Japan. This is where it was sitting in 2012. Every video that I've showed here and every study that's come out, the German, the Australian one, the Chinese, North Korean one, this Chinese one you just saw, everyone said the same thing. They're all coming here, and you can actually kind of see it already starting to head its way here, folks. So I don't know why the authorities aren't doing anything, but I mentioned here before how I'd like you to contact the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. I'll leave a link down below. All I'm asking you, it's very simple here, and you don't have to live in Canada, US, and you live anywhere in the world. Fill out the thing. Don't even give them your real name. I don't care. Really, I don't care. I just want you to write them a pleasant little letter and ask them, please, as a concerned human living on this planet and having very limited access to radioactivity testing equipment, that you'd like to have them test the seafood. That's it. It takes 2 seconds, please. And if you live in Canada, I left the phone number. It's right there, 1-800-442-2342. And there's the local number in Ottawa. Please call them. Let's do this together, okay? I can't do it by myself. I can send one. What I'm going to do, make up a bunch of fake names. I could do that, but that's not very good, and they could probably figure it out. Regardless, I'm asking you to join in here, folks, okay? Help me out. We can do this together. And one of the things I also talked about, if you didn't have a Geiger counter and you want to keep track of the radiation, right here on my website, connectingdots1.com, okay? Here, you can Google that. It shows up right